Hello, welcome to episode 191 of the Casual Try Hard podcast. I'm Bryan.
And I'm James.
And today we're doing Cube Corner, Dominaria United.
Ooh, what everyone was waiting for.
I know, the people, gotta give the people what they want.
Hey, I'm stoked about this episode. I love talking about your cube.
So,
it's a fun thought experiment that not everyone has the pleasure of delving into. So
we're gonna talk about the changes that came to the cube from Dominaria United and a few changes that came because of Dominaria United.
Excellent.
So, if you want to interact with us on social media, tell us what cards I should put in my cube. You can find all those links in the description below, in the description.
Yeah, if there's any sort of pet card you have that you think would fit one of the archetypes, absolutely let us know. If you want to support the show or pick up any of these cards for your own cube or cards for a cube of your own, we would appreciate if you use our TCG player affiliate link, tcg.casualtryhardmtg.com. Follow that link over to TCG player, and anything you purchase we'll get a percentage of to help keep the show going. If you want to support us more directly, patreon.com/casualtryhardmtg, and you get access to a whole nother show of us that's basically just more of us. It's not scripted. We have no idea what we're talking about. It's just kind of us making sure our computers haven't broken and catching up for like an hour before the show starts. But patrons get to listen to that. They also get access to our show notes, and you get put on my mailing list for when I have cool stuff to send out. So patreon.com/casualtryhardmtg. If you like what we do, chip a couple bucks in and get access to all that cool stuff. Yeah. We also have a YouTube channel, Casual Tryhard MTG on YouTube. Bryan's been posting up his draft videos. If you want to check those out, head on over there. Some great content.
Yeah.
Make sure you check them out. And you can watch this episode on our YouTube channel, complete with our smiling faces and the cool cards that we make. I haven't changed them in a couple weeks, though. They're still the custom cards I made for Bryan and myself, so check them out.
The best card that we could make for me, so I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I think my card's pretty sweet.
Yeah, yours has way more text than mine.
Lots of text, yeah, and no casting cost. It means it's got to be good, right?
You're Asmo.
Basically. Slightly less letters in my name, though.
Slightly less.
Yeah.
All right. So, is that everything?
Yeah, I don't think we have anything else, do we?
All right. I don't think so. All right. So, we'll have in the description, if you're interested, a link to the cube.
Mm-hmm.
It is the thing that I am simultaneously most excited for each set and a little frustrated because they just keep power creeping all the cards out of it. I have
makes you think though.
It does. I have a big box of probably 100 or 150 cards that had been thought about for the cube or were in the cube but have been taken out.
Mm-hmm.
And I've joked that I'm going to make a pre-fire cube. That is just cards up until fire design. So everything from War of the Spark, everything before War of the Spark,
yeah,
would be fair game, and just be here we can play Magic like we used to play Magic.
Yep. And
then we can have this cube over here that is modern Magic.
So I had another thought that we probably should have talked about on the pre-show instead of the actual show. So do you want me to save it for next week, or you want to do it now?
No, let's just go.
So I was thinking, if we made our own arena cube, we could draft it on Cube Cobra and then play it on arena.
That could be it would be a smaller experience, but that'd be a fun thing to do. That could be a tournament on the weekend or something. Just you and me and 6 loyal patrons or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a good idea.
Cool, right?
we could make an arena cube. Half my cube is already on arena.
Thanks, Fire Design.
Yeah, it's a thanks fire design, exactly. So it wouldn't take too much
Yeah,
to make that a reality. That'd be interesting.
yeah. And if we
That could be another fun project where we make like just the Cube Cobra Arena Cube, and we just have to work on that every set.
yeah.
Oh, I'd have to pay attention to I have to like actually read all the Baldur's Gate cards. Oh no.
Oh, maybe.
Oh no.
Maybe we just
Hey,
forget they exist.
there's some in the cube. It's fine. There's a couple that like we're fine. Uh, so we'll talk about the archetypes. Something that I value in the cube, rightly or wrongly, is like cards with flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have the archetypes, but cards that do multiple things, or like the kicker cards that we have in this set that are effectively split cards.
Right.
Like I value those because they let someone who's drafting the cube do things I didn't think of doing, because they have this flexibility that, like, you know, Terra Centers, like in the green deck, it is like you can play it in mono green as just like a way to as a sideboard card. But like if you're like some rockish control deck, right, it's just a hard removal spell.
Yep.
And like I don't have a rockish control deck, but you could probably put one together, and this is
so.
a card that helps that.
Mm-hmm.
So there are definitely some cards that like fill that role of like I do multiple things. And I've tried to take out some of the redundancy. Like, you know, I had this time, I think Goblin Instigators got cut because I already had like Mog War Marshal.
Which
and
is
it's like, you
the
know
same
what?
thing.
It's like Mog War Marshal could be better, could be worse.
Yeah.
But like it's kind of the same card. So like try to make all the decks work, but make sure that like you're not just drafting the exact same deck like every single time. Like, oh, I'm like red white, and so I have the exact same deck.
Yeah.
Because there's multiples of the same thing. So
this is just to kind of start out with before we start talking about the archetypes. This is a peasant cube.
Yep, just commons and uncommons.
Yep.
And it is all cards.
Yep.
So basically, it is a legacy cube. I don't have any power floating around at the uncommon spot. But so it's a legacy cube, commons and uncommons, and I've tried to. I guess power creep helps this, right? I've tried to make it as powerful as I can, because the thing I like about cube is getting to do powerful, interesting things.
Yeah.
So I didn't want it to just be like, you know, Dominaria Limited, or like, you know, some other like slow limited format where you're like just a bunch of like 4 or 5 staring at each other. Right. So modern design where commons are a wall of text.
Right.
Helps that to some degree. So every archetype has, or every color pair has a main archetype. That I've tried to support through the gold cards as well. So like blue white is what I think the funnest thing to do in blue white is which is blink.
Certainly better than the typical blue white flyers.
Yeah, so it's blink. So there's a bunch of creatures that ETB, do a thing, enablers in like both blue and white, like Ghostly Flicker and Ephemerate. And then I have, of course, it's blue-white, so you can play a control deck with it. And there is like a secret kind of like third archetype of like blue-white artifacts matter.
Okay.
Because blue-red is an artifacts matter thing, so you've got the blue cards. And green-white is +1/+1 counters. So I've used a lot of the modify white creatures that are modular, white creatures that are artifacts as well.
Cool.
So like it takes like I have like 3 cards that like care about artifacts or like let you fetch up artifacts when you come into play. So Gluttonous Crane and Ingenious Smith.
Yep.
So like it's like, oh, like I have these cards and these work, and so there's an artifact kind of sub theme. Black white is just aristocrats. basically that's what the description is. Just aristocrat. It is
just
exactly what you think of. There's like all the classic common and uncommon like enablers.
Mm-hmm.
Blood artist, Zulaport cutthroat. Oh, what is the vampire? The one drop.
Viscera.
Viscera. So just all of that, and then a bunch of the oh gosh, not Undying.
Persist.
What?
Persist.
Not gosh. It was from guilds. They die into 1/1s or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That mechanic. Afterlife? No, not Afterlife.
No, a bunch of creatures that die into other little creatures. Yeah. A lot of Doom Traveler type cards.
Orzev Enforcer. What was that? Wasn't a death 1/2.
It was a 1/2 death toucher that dies into a 1/1.
Yeah.
But I forget what the mechanic was called. Really good job on naming.
Yep.
It doesn't kind of have that like secret other archetype. Then there's red white, which is go wide. But I also there's a lot of artifact stuff in this.
Mm-hmm.
But I also looked to make sure that there could be like an artifact deck as well to go with the white cards that had modular. There's like a red white uncommon from Modern Horizons 2 that puts a +1/+1 counter on like every artifact creature you control.
Yeah.
So like you can be go wide, you can do some like more artifact focused things, and I also have my pet card Trash for Treasure.
Yep.
So like in red white you have Trash for Treasure, and then you have Refurbish.
Mm-hmm.
So you could also be some like weird like red white like artifact specific reanimator deck.
Mm-hmm.
Right, like you could get those two cards and just be like, oh, there's some big dumb artifacts to put into play. That's fun.
Yep.
Green white is counters.
Mm-hmm.
There are some ways to go infinite with different things. I have Devoted Druid and Vizier of Remedies.
Yep.
And like Kitchen Finks and Vizier of Remedies as well. So like in black white you could like Vizier, Kitchen Finks, and a sack outlet and gain infinite life.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a slight landfall theme, and there's a lot of like landfall and like the green adjacent colors. Right, so there's a bunch of landfall creatures that landfall put a +1/+1 counter on themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like 2 in white, and then there's a couple green ones. So you can also like
Canyon
be the counters deck.
Is that one of them? Mm-hmm. The little mouse-looking thing?
Canyon Jabroa gives everything +1/+1.
Oh, so not counters.
Not counters, but
yeah,
he stayed in because he works in like, if you're like red, white, go wide, mm-hmm. he's just like a little anthem for you.
Yep.
Or if you're like a green, white tokensy deck, he's a little anthem for you.
Yeah.
Blue, black is another one that has like a bunch of things going on. Blue, black has ninjas as its like base archetype.
Mm-hmm.
Right. All the ninjas from Kamigawa, old and new, that are good, and some that are like, I need a ninja. And then you also have like, counters and removal to be controlling. And then there's also a bunch of support for Reanimator.
Mm-hmm.
So like there's big dumb idiots that you can reanimate. So like, and like all the good reanimation spells. So mm-hmm. Exhume and Animate Dead.
Yeah.
So that's again, another one you can do a lot of things in. Blue-red is like artifacts matter. So a bunch of creatures that like make artifacts. So things from like Kaladesh and Aether Revolt, like Whirler Virtuoso, oh gosh, what is his name? Maverick Thopterus.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And then like in blue you have the Whirler Rogue that makes
mm-hmm.
2 1/1s.
Yep.
In blue. And then I made sure that a bunch of the blue creatures ETB and make an artifact.
Mm-hmm.
So they work as blink things that you want to blink. And they give you artifacts for like your blue-red artifact thing. So there's all of those. I have the same things in red.
Yeah. And
then there's some affinity payoffs where you make all these artifacts and you get to do some stuff on the cheap.
Yeah. So it's a little bit of a kind of go wide though, right?
It can go wide. It can go tall. It can do like it'd be, if someone had like blue, red, go wide, I'd be like, oh, I didn't think like that was kind of there, but I didn't see that as like the archetype. That's fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
So
if you have a lot of things that like make bodies and also care about like the number of artifacts, it's kind of like go wide kind of makes sense.
yeah. And then blue green was like just ramp,
Mhm.
and then they printed the new Tatiova.
You're looking to change that a little bit.
So it's still ramp, but I wanted to focus more on playing additional lands.
Okay.
So
Kind of less dorks, more like land ramp.
So like I cut like Lana War Visionary for was it Elvish Rejuvenator?
Mhm.
And then because a lot of the ramp was like, the stuff from Strixhaven that was like, this comes into play, put a land on the battlefield.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, we'll lean more into that than like dorks.
Mhm.
But there's still like the mana dorks, so you could just be mono green and not embarrass yourself.
Yeah.
And then green black is like dredge graveyard matter stuff. Pet archetype. We all know what I'm here for.
Did you make it playable though? Because it
I don't
seems like
know.
this archetype is always bad.
It does. I don't know. I hope so. And then I have like red black. This is the second version of the cube, so this is the red black with madness version.
Mhm.
So I had been goblins in this slot, but madness is more fun.
Yeah.
So bunch of madness cards, discard for value. There's a few cards from this set that help support that. And then like red green was the hardest. Like red green's been the hardest thing for Wizards to figure out what it wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually just big dumb idiots.
Basically.
So red green here is like the landfall deck. So the problem is like we've had landfall as the red green mechanic in a couple sets,
Mm-hmm.
and there's not a lot of great cards.
Right.
So I did my best.
I wonder. I mean, it would mess up like the whole cube because. All right. So to go off on a little tangent, one of the things I like about your cube is that like all of your color pair archetypes overlap with each other, so that like you can go 3-color. Like there's a 3-color archetype like for each of them
everything.
That works with like both sides.
Yeah.
So if you change an archetype, it makes it difficult because you're changing not just the color pair archetype, but also like whatever the 3-color archetype that it overlaps with. Like I believe that there's cards, but could you do like a red-green Panza style? Where instead of like just landfall, you could like ramp a little bit, blow up some lands a little bit.
So the reason I didn't want to, I only have a handful of cards that can destroy lands kind of inadvertently.
Mm-hmm.
Is like if you sit down to like play a cube, like I think the last thing you want to have happen to you
is your mana base get blowed up.
Stone Rain on turn 2 off of Mana Dork, and then Creeping Mold on turn 3. Like that's just like not fun.
Yeah.
So like I wanted to prioritize like making sure that like when you played, you'd be like, oh, I want to do that again.
Well, I mean, it kind of has a natural foil in the blue-green deck, though.
It does. It does.
And like a lot of your other archetypes aren't super mana hungry.
We could investigate that.
I mean, I don't know if it's a good idea or not, but it would be like an interesting archetype that's not typical.
It'd be an interesting thing to like kind of build out and see what it would look like.
Yeah.
Right? What is that stupid goblin that comes in and blows up land if you kicked it?
Oh yeah. Yeah, whatever his name is.
It's like a 2-drop or whatever.
Yeah. And you kick it for 2 extra. It's in historic, right?
It is in historic.
Yeah.
There we go. There's the arena, and Stone Rain's there.
It is.
There you go. The arena archetype could be red green. So yeah, I tried to make it so like you could kind of like mush different archetypes together.
Mm-hmm.
because I think that's what like when like draft and stuff is fun. Like there's guardrails enough that you can kind of do, like you could just like draft green white and like have a good deck.
Mhm.
But if you're like, oh, like here's this good red card or this good blue card, I can kind of like make that all kind of work together.
Yeah.
And like I tried to pick cards that like crossed archetypes, like the landfall creatures in white to get +1/+1 counters. It's like, oh, I could be green white landfall, I could be Bant landfall, but these also work in the main archetype.
Mhm.
Where it gets a little more rigid is the gold cards, because a lot of the gold cards really like tack to their archetype.
Yeah.
Right. There are some that are like more clear. Like I think green white. I think all but like one or two like of the 10 cards are like are counters cards. But then you have like blue black where it's just like, there's some tempo-y stuff. There's some control-y stuff. It's kind of whatever.
Some unblockable stuff, some ninja
some
stuff.
Unblockable guys for ninjas, exactly. You just kind of have it's like kind of a hodgepodge of things.
Yeah.
So when I made the changes in the cube, I did not make them in such a way that they lined up nicely to like talk about.
No, that's fine.
So
we'll just muddle our way through.
So the first change I made was Micromancer in. And one more thing. So this is something that Brad had tweeted about how it's super hard to keep the cube like a consistent size.
Yeah.
And I was like, you have to be strong. And every time you want to put a card in, you have to find the card that leaves.
Right.
So like it sucks, but you have to be like, no, I want to do this for this reason, make the move. So everything's 1-for-1. The color balance, in my opinion, stayed the same.
Okay.
So Cube Cobra counts the kicker cards with a different color as being multicolor. I count, so like if you look at like the gold cards, like the true gold cards are all 10, and I think there's a couple that like split cards that was like, you're gold enough for me, but the gold cards are all 10, but the numbers are off because they put the like
gotcha
Phyrexian missionaries of the world into the Orzhov slot as opposed to being white.
Right.
But everything's like the exact same as it was count wise, like in terms of like how many cards can you just cast with planes in your deck did not change.
Gotcha.
So Micromancer for Wing Splicer. So I talked about how I have a bunch of cards that ETB and make artifact creatures. And Wing Splicer was just another one of those.
There was no like underlying golem support.
There's not. I don't have like a golem sub theme. So I thought Micromancer was good because in the Blink decks, right?
It can get your Ephemerate or whatever.
Exactly. I thought about cutting. Oh gosh, Momentary Blink with like the flashback for Cloud Shift, because I think Cloud Shift is 1 mana, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So there was just another thing for Micromancer to go get in the Blink deck. But also, if you're a control player, right, it gets you Swords, it gets you Path, it gets you Brainstorm.
Yep.
Right, it gets you all of your, like, all the spells that you would want.
Do you have any of the black 1 mana removal in here?
I have Fatal
Push.
Push.
Cut down or whatever.
I don't have Cut Down, I definitely have Fatal Push.
Yeah. Lightning Bolt.
Bolt, so it lets you get all of those cards as well. So, like, it's good across multiple archetypes. In Wing Splicer, I already had Whirler Rogue in there as well as a 4 mana thing that makes artifacts.
Yeah, there's only so many of them you can play.
Yeah, so that goes back to the like less redundancy.
Yeah.
It's a sad day for the Dark Steel. I think it's Dark Steel or Mirrodin Raise the Alarm.
Yeah.
Because it got replaced with Resolute Reinforcements.
Yep.
Which is effectively the same card. But so it still works exactly the same in the red, white, go wide decks. But you can blink it.
Right.
So again, now it can cross multiple archetypes. And like if you're blue-white blink and you see raise the alarm, you don't want that card.
Right.
But you might want resolute reinforcements.
Mm-hmm.
So Goblin Instigator went the way of the dodo for Sprouting Goblin.
Fits into the landfall, land matters archetypes.
Mm-hmm. And playing it and like getting to pay a red and like sack lands to draw a card felt real good as well.
Yeah.
Clear down at the bottom of that wall of text. That seemed good.
Yeah, has another ability.
Has another ability because 2022.
Yep.
Fire. And like there's Kranko's Command, Hordling Outburst.
Yeah.
Mog, War Marshal. There's a bunch of cards that do Goblin Instigator, and there was no Sprouting Goblin.
Mm-hmm.
So like, there's a lot of like red-green cards that want you to like that do landfall-y things, but there aren't as many like ways to get or enablers, right? There's a lot of things that are like, hey, like, what is the red-green 1/1 haste guy that gets +2/+2 on landfall?
Brushfire Elemental.
Yeah, right. Like Brushfire Elemental into turn 3 Sprouting Goblin.
Yep, that's pretty good.
Right. It's a 5/5. like, okay, now you've got like, now you're like, your landfall deck looks like reasonable, as opposed to not being able to hit that like 4th land quickly. Just to go with the blue-green like lands entering the battlefield matter, I put in Joint Exploration and cut Reign of Revelation.
Okay.
Reign was, so this may or may not, like, Reign was there to, kind of help enable Reanimator stuff. But also, like, there's Factor Fiction.
Right.
Which is doesn't do Reanimator things. There's kind of enough discard outlets from the black cards for Madness and, like, Careful Study. But, like, 2 4-mana draw card things seemed a little redundant. And again, like, because it's got that green kicker, it goes in the blue-green deck, but it also can just be like in a blue-red archetype.
Yeah, it's a cantrip for, whatever archetype wants that.
Yeah. Because I guess, blue-red secretly has blue-red spells matter because...
No way.
You just fall backwards into that. Like, I was like, I don't want to do that. And like, at the end, it's like, oh, I guess I have like, if you draft these 6 cards, you just are the spells deck. Okay.
Yeah.
You
it's
win.
there whether you want it or not.
Yeah, it's like, I have all the best blue cantrips and Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning. I guess I have the blue-red spells deck.
Yeah.
General's Enforcer was like a card that didn't really have a home.
Okay.
Right, like black-white cards in general are weird. There aren't like a lot that like are like, oh, this card's like really good. And it was there because I was like, well, I guess 4 mana to exile a card from a graveyard can give you a little bit of play if like the Reanimator decks are good. But Aaron Benalia's Ruin is just a ridiculous Magic card.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that you don't have the other one on here also.
I couldn't figure out what to cut. Like, it's not like, do you want it or Cruel Celebrant? Right? Like, I feel like they're the same. They're similar cards.
I mean, I think you want it, right?
Like
Elias?
Cruel Celebrant. Like Cruel Celebrant drains on sack, and Elias just pings on sack, but gains life when it's something ETB. So I guess I wasn't sure. I went kind of back and forth.
Yeah.
If like Cruel Celebrant is better, so I stuck with Cruel Celebrant, but there is an argument for that. I think I bought one to just have in case I change my mind at some point.
There's more text on that card, isn't there?
I thought it was just when a creature on your side ETBs, gain a life, and when one of your creatures dies, your opponent loses 1 life.
I thought there was more text. Maybe I'm wrong.
You might be right. I'm not 100% sure. But, like, Aaron gives you a sack outlet for black-white sack stuff. Also, like, the black-white deck can inadvertently go wide because you just have a bunch of, like, little bodies. so it gives you the flexibility to like maybe like turn aggro in a turn or two.
Yeah.
And like you could splash it into like red white or like, you know, a green white kind of go wide deck because it like gives you counters.
Yeah.
So it does a lot of different things. Death Sprout, I know, one of your cards, but
like
Death Sprout went away because it's kind of just Binding of the Old Gods.
Yeah, kind of.
And so I had two of those effects, and to help with the the black green graveyard deck to try to make it playable, I got Urg Spot of Turg. So
also randomly fits into lands decks.
The 05, well, the star 5 that lets you basically surveil one each turn, and then has power equal to the number of lands in your graveyard, and lets you sack lands. Because like with a Dakmor salvage or something, just like go nuts. So that was there, and again, Death Sprout was like a like just kind of redundant card.
It was a rock card.
Yeah, it was a rock card, and I already had a rock card.
Yeah.
Speaking of rock cards.
Speaking of.
So I put in Terra Sunder for Wilt.
Okay.
So in terms of the 1 and a green part of Terra Sunder and the 1 and a green part of Wilt are kind of the same card. I put Terra Sunder in because it also is a rock card of exile anything.
Yeah.
So kind of does Death Sprout's job as well. The downside is, like, I don't know how important the cycling is. Like, Wilt hopefully is just a sideboard card. Right? So if you bring it in, you're probably not cycling it away. The only downside is Terra Sunder. I have the artifact, indestructible artifact lands. So Terra Sunder is the second card that lets you exile an artifact. So you could just get the person who played the artifact lands as fixing.
So you inadvertently put Ponza in as an archetype?
So there's Terra Sunder, and there's Forsake the Worldly.
Yeah.
The 3-mana white one that exile target artifact or enchantment. Cycle 2. So I do have... You can punish the greedy artifact land player who wants to like play Gear Serpents for Gear Seeker Serpents for like 2 mana. So, but like I figured, it does Death Sprout, it does Wilt. Right, you can play it in mono green, or you get like an added bonus if you're black.
Yep.
Back to white cards. Midnight Guard was a carryover for when I had a bunch of like cards that like made creatures when you tap them.
Yeah.
Right, like so there was a couple
I mean, Midnight Guard's kind of a combo piece, but if you don't have anything that works with it, it really doesn't
So
do
I
anything.
had the combos in, and then I was like, the rest of this is so powerful, like these 3-card like combos where like one of the pieces is like a creature enchantment that you have to like tap.
Yeah.
Is probably not good enough. So I put Banalish Sleeper in its spot.
Fits in nicely with the Aristocrats archetype.
And I also like tried to make the monocolor decks workable. And it is just like a 2-mana 3/1.
Yep.
Which like a mono white deck wouldn't like, isn't super pumped about, but is not like embarrassing.
Right.
So it just kind of like gives it that flexibility. Then so blue-green, like I said, was ramp, but I wanted to make it focus more on lands because of Tatiova, so Gaia Engineer went away.
Okay.
Right, just like 3-mana taps for blue-green. Just give me Tatiova, Steward of Tides, and now we've got 5-mana Tatiova, 3-mana Tatiova, and a bunch of like growth spirals. Yep. Yeah, growth spirals and
Joint
Eureka moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, just all this stuff that's going to let you play extra lands.
Seems reasonable.
So, Blood Rage Brawler was I need a discard outlet for Madness, but it didn't seem good that you had to like pay 2 mana, only get to do it once. So then they gave us Goblin Picker,
Mm-hmm.
which is like maybe it should be Rummaging Goblin, but I'm like, well, it's a 2-mana 2/2. It can't ever be that bad. And then just 1 mana, discard, draw a card. Seems like a reasonable Madness enabler.
Mm-hmm.
Fading Hope became Rona's Vortex.
Okay.
So they're effectively the same thing. With the blue cost, right? They both bounce a thing to their owner's hand.
Mm-hmm.
Rona's Vortex gets Planeswalkers,
It does.
but you lose the Scry on Fading Hope.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a few Planeswalkers. But then if you're like blue-black control, it's just a removal spell.
Yep.
So again, like, if you're the blue-red deck, it's Fading Hope.
Right.
If you're the Ninjas deck, it's Fading Hope on turn 3, and on turn 5, it's just hard removal.
Removal spell.
Yeah, so it kind of does double duty.
Yep. Flexibility.
Flexibility. Remember when Storm Chaser Mage was amazing?
You remember
And
when
we
I
all
saw
thought that
like
card-
standard play?
Yeah. So it's in there because, again, you can't help but be blue-red spells.
Right.
But I thought Balmor, Battle Mage Captain,
Is
was
better
just
in like
better.
every way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, oh, I give make all my things bigger. I should probably go with that.
Seems
So that
good.
was just like a pure power level switch. So red green we talked about being like the landfall,
Mhm.
and Zerta Goblin was just a red green creature.
Basically, yeah, it didn't really serve any other purpose, right?
No, like you could squint and be like, oh, if there's a Naya
Yeah.
counters deck, it's like no. But Rilikmon's Warren Chief,
I really like this guy.
this guy is a house
Yeah.
and like will inadvertently like attack and put a land on the battlefield and then like trigger all of your landfall stuff.
Yep.
Your opponent's like, oh, I can totally. Oh no, I can't now. Like everything got bigger.
Yep.
So I figured like that was just a good thing that fed off of like the support of the landfall archetype.
Yeah. And
Um,
also like kind of fits well into some sort of Naya token go wide deck too.
Makes tokens.
Yep.
Or like if you're a teamer and you want another way to get landfall triggers,
Mhm.
because
Yep.
only one red. Star Pupil, like I had like 2 other 1 mana cares about counters things,
Mhm.
or comes in with a counter cards, like the Modern Horizons like modular creatures.
Mhm.
And since they secretly also helped like blue-green artifacts, or
Yep.
sorry, blue-white artifacts and red-white artifacts, Star Pupil was the one that had to go.
Mhm.
And I have no reason to like Phyrexian Missionary as much as I do. It's not like it's done amazing things for me in Limited.
It's just a
But
solid card. Like it's undercosted on its front side.
Mhm.
It's a 2-mana
And-
2/3 with lifelink.
Yeah, and then like it sometimes is a Gravedigger.
That has an
Sure.
extra point of toughness and lifelink.
Yeah, like I just every time I play it, I'm like, this card is just so ridiculous. Like
Yeah.
I don't understand. So I was like, well, if you were like mono white, you'd play a 2/3 for 2, no problem.
Mhm.
If you're like control, it's a reasonable speed bump.
Yep.
To make sure you like it's what is oh gosh, Gifted Etherborn
Mhm.
is black for a 2/3 lifelink death touch.
Yep.
So like this loses death touch, but like Gifted Etherborn is like a fine cube card.
Right.
And in this cube.
Mhm.
So
I mean, it's a
like,
fine
this
cube
just-
card in like normal cubes that aren't.
yeah, like I think it
Rarity
actually shows up
restricted.
in like vintage cube sometimes. And so this just seemed like a fine card to put in. Again, like gives you flexibility. Like you can draft it if you're the black-white sacrifice deck. You can draft it if you're some other deck that's just gonna want to pull stuff out of the graveyard. Like you could be Abzan Graveyard Matters
Mhm.
and have this. Because there's also Unburial Rites as a way to like,
Yeah.
if you go into 3 colors, to like, oh, I can now play this from my graveyard and get back my big creature. So this kind of does a bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's all the new cards.
Okay. So
those
next we have cards that work with the new cards.
Work with the new cards or kind of fix some like weirdness.
Okay.
How about that?
Sure. Fix the weirdness.
So I already talked about Elvish Rejuvenator for Llanowar Visionary.
Makes sense.
Right?
Same casting cost, and you get to like change one version of ramp for another.
Yeah, and like again, blue, green, red, green, all want that land to come into play.
Mm-hmm.
So this was controversial in the casual try hard chat. So I specifically didn't want red black to be a hard sacrifice deck.
Yeah.
But like I have Mayhem Devil and I think one other card that care about sacrifice. Well, I have Mayhem Devil and I have the Anvil.
Mm-hmm. Oni Anvil.
Right? Yeah. So I wanted to be about madness, and I thought, well, I have Jury Master of was that Review?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Master of the Review. I had Jury in there that cares about sacrifice. But then I saw you play Oddsmaker when we were and I was like, oh, that's like the perfect card to like enable madness.
Yeah.
So I thought like if you were like drafting and you saw like Mayhem Devil and Jury, you'd be like, oh, red black is all about sacrifice.
And then see
like
a bunch of madness cards and like train wreck your draft inadvertently.
Yeah, and be like, and then not get like you 100% could put that deck together, right? Because like black gives you a bunch of like bodies that die into other bodies to support black white, and red has the go wide theme.
Yep.
But I was like, I kind of want to push it more towards like you see like a Jury and then you see like the madness terminate and you're like, oh, yeah, I see how this is supposed to go. So I put Oddsmaker in there to kind of make that a little clearer.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Marasa Root Grazer. Like I wanted like green white to be, there are the tools there to be landfall or to have a landfall theme to your like tokens deck or not tokens, like your plus some counter deck. But like Root Grazer just felt a little too heavy handed for that.
Okay.
So we went back in time and we found Juniper Order Ranger from Cold Snap.
Oh, okay. So this isn't the card I thought it was then. I thought this was, isn't there a new Juniper Order something that's like a red-green kicker card?
It's one of the
or white-green, yeah.
And you kick it for green.
Yeah.
No, this is from Cold Snap. It's 5 mana. It's a 2/4. And whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on that creature and a +1/+1 counter on Juniper Order Ranger.
Okay.
So I was like, I have Maja, Balagad. Is it Balagad?
No, Maja's from
Balagad.
Kaldheim.
Kaldheim. Bredegard. That's it. Bredegard Protector. Yeah. It's so hard to keep all these like random places they make up straight. And that card is like go wide, landfall, go wide.
Yeah.
So like I kept like one card that could like if you were like, oh, I took like 3 green white landfall cards, and then I see this. Okay, I can kind of do that, but like Marasa Root Grazer just didn't feel like exciting, and like I don't know if this card's any better, but it was more on theme.
Sure.
And it's a Cold Snap card, so hey, brownie points for Cold Snap. I have Bosri's Acolyte and Lord, if I remember the name of this card. Let's see if I can find it. Bosri's Acolyte, the 4 mana 3/4 that puts 2 +1/+1 counters on some, or +1/+1 counter on 2 things.
Mm-hmm.
But I also had, oh god, Alharu, Solemn Ritualist.
Okay.
That is 4 mana for a 3/3, or sorry, 5 mana for a 3/3. That has the same first line of text. Put a +1/+1 counter on up to 2 target creatures. So they kind of like overlapped. But then this guy says, whenever a non-token creature you control with a +1/+1 counter dies, you get a 1/1 spirit token.
Oh.
And I was like, well,
a little bit of payoff in the
that's
back end.
That's probably better. Like there are some like Ravs in the format.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, well, they kind of do the same thing, but then this one does more.
Mhm.
It is 1 extra mana, but I already had a bunch of 4-drops, so it's like this is probably better for doing that. And then so then that became Soul of Migration.
Okay, what's that?
The it's a 7 mana 5 white for a 2/4 flying. When it comes into play, you get 2 1/1 white bird tokens,
Oh, okay.
but it evokes for 3 and a white.
Uh,
So it is a thing to blink in blue white.
it's also
And,
a thing
like-
that sacrifices in aristocrats.
Yeah, so it does a lot of different things. I hadn't even thought about the aristocrats thing.
Yep.
I like this. Makes me look like I was even planning things
Genius!
out even more than I did.
Yep.
Genius, Jerry, genius.
Yep.
And then Titan Off Rex was in there because it cycled and was like a reanimation target.
Yeah.
But there's a bunch more discard since I put in Madness.
Mm-hmm. So you
This
didn't
is
really
like from
need
the
it.
I didn't really need it. And like I wanted to like help the like particularly the red green landfall archetype.
Mhm.
I think if blue green and red green probably are doing two different things. Like blue green's trying to get like really big.
Yeah.
And get paid off on the Tatiovas.
Red
and red
green's
green
more
just-
of an aggro.
Yeah. So I put in Embodiment of Insight.
Okay.
So it's the 4 and a green 4/4 vigilance. Land creatures you control have vigilance. And landfall, a creature you control becomes a 3/3 until end of turn.
Yeah.
It is still a land.
Still land.
It's funny. New Tatiova just makes it a 3/3 full stop. The ones from Battle for Zendikar were like, just till the end of turn. We don't want this to get out of hand.
Yeah.
And Tatiova's like, get out of hand. Just go hard.
Forever.
Get out of hand. So, like, these just kind of like, I thought, like, help the archetypes a little bit.
Yeah.
And, like,
Even out the
embodiment
changes
of-
you made.
yeah, Embodiment of Insight and, like, Elvish Rejuvenator help support, like, the more landfall-y theme of, like, blue-green and stuff like that. So, that is it.
Yeah.
So, it is, I think I said this before, even if you're not going to build it, I think everyone should have, like, a cube with whatever, like, specifications they want.
Yeah.
Because every set you care, because, like, every day I'm like, oh, are there any, like, ridiculous cube cards in this, like, in yesterday's deck dump, or the card dump?
Yeah. It makes you
During
care
previous
about
season.
every card.
And, like, even, like, the last day of previews is usually, like, who cares? It's, like, the draft stuff.
Right.
And it was, like, ooh.
No, there's some
Is there
goodies
anything in
there.
the draft stuff that
Yeah.
I could like play? So like it makes you care about all the cards,
Mhm.
which is fun as opposed to just caring about the like what are the like undercosted beaters that are going to get played in standard,
Right.
right? So like that is a lot of fun and a lot more interesting than just having to care about the rares all the time.
No, it's cool.
So,
I dig it.
so
Well, like I said, it's
one
kind of a
day-
fun thought experiment too. Like,
One day we will have to I'll have to actually
actually draft
play
the
the
thing.
cube. Actually draft the thing, yes.
Yeah.
As opposed to just like constantly tinkering with it without any data.
That's always the best way to tinker with something is with no data.
Oh, yeah.
That's how you're supposed to run an experiment, right?
You just like
Make
it's all
changes and
vibes
never
and
check.
feel.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this feels good. I think this feels great.
Yeah.
So yeah. That's
Perfect.
exactly how things are supposed to
Could
go.
not go wrong.
Could not be wrong at any of these assumptions that I'm making.
Yep.
Maybe secretly black green is the best archetype in the
Who
cube.
knows?
We may never know. We may never know. But yeah, and like I said, it is. I think Brad was like, is anyone else frustrated that you have to put in like 14 new cards in your cube like every new standard set? And it's like a little, but I don't know.
It's kind of fun too.
Like, it is fun, and like I said, I like doing like the powerful thing.
Yeah.
And like seeing cards work together that you would otherwise would never like see together.
Mhm.
And so that is like the power level just like slowly keeps creeping up.
Yeah.
Oh, and I forgot about the I don't actually have it in the archetype description,
Okay.
but there's Storm. Never forget, there's Storm.
There's always Storm.
There's like, I think it takes up like 20 cards in the queue, but you can Storm off hard.
What's your payoff?
All of them.
Okay.
I have Empty.
Oh, like
Right.
actual Storm payoffs.
Oh yeah, I have Empty the Warrens, Grape Shot, Galvanic Relay, and Shatterstorm.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, like you can storm off. Like you don't have like the 0 mana rocks,
Yeah.
but like you've got, oh gosh.
I noticed there was rituals in there.
Yeah, you've got Dark Ritual, Cabal Ritual. Oh. So I could not figure out for the life of me how I only had 3 Cabal Rituals
Oh, because one's
in
the
my
cube.
box, because one's in the cube. It makes perfect sense now.
There you go.
Because I was like, I gotta, like, Cabal Ritual is a card I have 5 of. I've played Storm and Legacy. How do I not have 5 of? How do I not have 4 of these? This is so confusing. But like, yeah, and then like all the red rituals, so you can be red green Storm. I have Anarchomancer.
Mm.
You can be like
Do you have
Grixis
Metamorphose
Storm.
in there?
You can be Grixis Storm. Because I've got Goblin Electromancer.
Mm-hmm.
And I have where's he at? Nightscape Familiar.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. We got it all. You can storm to your little heart's content. Is it like probably every other cube where you will like storm off and then lose like every game? Probably.
Probably.
But will you have a blast? Yes,
Probably.
you will. It'll be great.
Yep.
Uh,
Do you have a first day of class in there?
so I did, but I took it out because it was the only thing I could think it could do was like give your tokens haste.
Yeah.
I had it when I had Skirk Prospector and Putrid Goblin. So it could also like combo. I guess that you could still do it with like, it's just more colors with like what is it called? Kitchen Finks?
Yeah, I mean you have Murderous Redcap too.
Yeah. So I guess I could do that. I forget what I cut it for.
Yeah.
Let's look
That's
in the
the hard
sorcery. Yeah, let's look in the sorcery slot. It might have been Pyroclasm. Oh, I gotta fix this. I've tried my best to make sure all the arts are the right art of all the cards, so that they match the art that is actually in the cube.
Yeah.
And that was the wrong Pyroclasm art. That was not okay.
What is the the right Pyroclasm art?
Ice Age.
Okay. Yeah, you are correct. That is the correct Pyroclasm art.
If you go through the cube, I have done my best to have either the original printing of every card in the cube, or an old border version of the card. So like if they have an old version border of the card, I have that, or I have the original printing. There's a couple like what are they called? Adventure cards that like I have the currently in the cube is the like storybook frame, but that's gonna change.
Yeah.
I actually had them set aside to change. The only card that might stay like not original is I really like the new full art Shardless Agent.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I really like that version of Shardless Agent. So that is the version that is in the cube. Though I must own because here it has the old border version. So do I own an old border version? I might. Tough decisions. But I do currently have the full art version in.
Yeah.
So, but the old border version is very nice. So
I like the old border version. I'm pretty sure I bought some old border ones.
I think I did as well. But I definitely have the full art version. That's like the only like full art card in the cube.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, I like that for some reason. But yeah, so cube, a lot of fun. I thought about putting in like the dual lands from this set
Mm-hmm.
because if you put those dual lands in, you get to play Farseek.
Yeah, because they have basic land types. I mean,
Yeah,
the snow duels have basic land types too, right?
they do.
And
They
is it?
do.
I thought wasn't there like one card that like inadvertently mentioned snow?
In here, I might have cut it, but there might
Okay.
be one. Um, like you could also have Into the North if you had them,
Yeah.
but this is maybe for the Twitterverse. Um, I have the Baldur's Gate gates,
Mm-hmm.
and I have the Thriving Lands
Okay.
as my mana fixing because I feel like they're a little bit more flexible.
And the bridges.
Well, so okay,
Or
I
you
have
only have the on color bridges.
the Bounce Lands.
All the bounce lands?
I have all the Bounce Lands,
Okay.
all the bridges,
Okay.
and then either the New Capenna lands that sack to draw you a card,
Mm-hmm.
or the Strixhaven lands
That tap and scry.
that tap and scribe.
Okay. And then the thriving lands.
And then past that, I have what would be the slot to be the like lands with land types.
Mm-hmm.
I have the gates from Baldur's Gate
Okay.
and the Thriving Lands,
Yeah.
which are kind of the same
They're
thing.
kind of the same thing, yeah.
Well, they are the same thing, but
No gate
my
payoffs?
I worked so hard to figure out how to put them in, but there's so few that actually are good.
Yeah.
And then like they just like then they don't fit with anything else, right? Like
Right.
if you see a what is it? Whatever the ram is.
Yeah.
Right, that card only is playable if you have 3 gates or something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, there's like Gatebreaker Ram, Gates Ablaze, and there's like a Colossus too, right?
The Colossus and then the
Oh, the Blue Enchantment too is pretty good.
Guild Summit.
Yeah.
Right? But then there's not like the older gate payoffs
Yeah.
are really bad.
The thing about Gates though is if you did Gates as an archetype with like those 4 cards, your Gates could also be your 5-color archetype.
Mm.
Like they
You
could
could do
overlap,
that.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've thought I haven't figured out how to put them in.
Yeah.
Because I know we talked about like trying to figure out how to
maybe
do
we could do
gates.
that for our arena cube.
Yeah, that would be good. Because like
Our 5-color archetype will be Gates.
would be like gates and like stuff.
Yeah.
Or like we could like make it like, you know, it could also be kind of like domainy.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because like for gates, I guess circuitous route is kind of better than what's his name, Blindfoot Survey.
Yeah.
Kinda. The like look at the top 5 cards of your library and put like the best one on top is kind of nutty.
Yeah.
But like I tried to figure out how to do gates, but my thought was like if you were valuing mana fixing, right, and you took like Black Dragon Gate and then like Thriving More,
Yeah.
right, that's
You could be
better for
anything.
you.
Yeah.
You could be anything / like they could both be black white, where
Mhm.
like one would be black white and one would be like black red.
That's true.
So yeah, like if you like really wanted to make sure you had good mana, you could take these and just kind of be able to cover whatever,
Mhm.
as opposed to like only having one of each. But then there's also all the other ones.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have 47 lands in the cube. You should take lands. You will need them because like there's
Because your opponents
106.
will have them.
Yeah, there's 116 multicolored cards according to the way Cube Cobra counts them.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of gold stuff that you want to be able to cast. Yeah, no, it's fun. Like it definitely makes it so like I pay more attention.
Yeah.
But I do like the arena cube idea. Would we have to maybe limit it to we could like make it
We could do a
peasant
peasant cube, yeah.
be just like just because like a lot of people might not have the.
Yeah. No, I think like Arena's quickly getting to the point where like Peasant is fully supported.
Yeah, like it's big enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a whole different set of Baldur's Gate cards to learn because they're not the same cards.
That is correct. I mean, we could probably just do real cards.
Yeah, we could avoid alchemy.
Yeah.
And Baldur's Gate. We could those just don't exist.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. Like just ignoring them because I have none of those cards.
Yeah, I have very few.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to do that.
Yep.
So yeah, no, that would be listeners of the podcast. Would that be something you would be interested in if like we did like a not that our tournaments have been huge, right? If one of our tournaments would just became like
a draft,
a cube draft.
Yeah.
Like
I
where
think
like
that'd be fun.
Like cuz you can I just found out about it the other day. You can draft on Cube Cobra.
Yeah.
And then everyone would have their decks.
I think you can also, I don't know like if the experience is any different, but what's the site where you can like practice draft sim?
Oh. Yeah.
I think you can upload a cube to draft sim too.
So draft sim, I did mean that. So arena tutor decks, all decks. We can figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we could maybe do something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that could be fun. Having another cube to like figure out.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we could do like they did for what was it? 8th edition? Like the first set in Modern. We have people vote cards
People
in.
vote on cards for the cube.
Yeah, somehow Blood Moon gets in. It's like I don't even know how.
In the Tron lands.
In the Tron lands.
Yeah.
So funny, like
And Summer Bloom too, right?
I think, yeah, two mortal enemies.
Yeah.
Blood Moon and Tron lands together.
Yeah.
And
that's
like
what the people wanted.
Even through all these years, Troning people is still like a reasonable thing to do.
Thanks, 8th edition.
I
mean,
don't
so
understand.
is Blood Moon.
So yeah, so is Blood Moon. Like still a reasonable thing to do.
Yep.
So yeah. But yeah. So hopefully you guys enjoy the cube update.
Yeah.
You can Greasy drafted the cube twice today.
Once today, once yesterday, I think.
Okay. I didn't see the dates. I just saw that you drafted it. But yeah. There you go. So the link to the cube is in the show notes, and I will probably post it to Discord.
Mm-hmm.
So you can look at it, and if you want to draft it,
have a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe we'll work on our arena cube and do something.
There you go.
Like
yeah,
that.
if that's something you guys would be interested in, like it would be a fun like thing to do.
I mean, I might work on an arena cube anyway.
Yeah, we have to find a fun black-green archetype, a playable black-green archetype.
Yeah.
They try so hard, and they all suck so bad.
Yeah.
I don't know how you fix it.
So, like, with a restricted card pool like that, do you think it'd be best to start with signpost cards and then work backwards?
Maybe. So when I did this, I had, like, some ideas of archetypes I wanted, things I enjoyed.
Yeah.
So I first approached it as like, what are the archetypes that I enjoy in Cube?
Yeah.
And then from that, then I started kind of filling in the other ones. Like I had like an idea of like 4 or 5, right? Like I was like, oh, I want like blue white. I want like some reanimator ninja-y thing. Like I want those. But then it was like, okay, like what are the red green uncommons? What can I do with these to like make this like work at all? Kind of deal. Oh, and just for good measure, we have Grumgully and Rhythm of the Wild.
Yes.
That makes it so you can sack your
Kitchen Sphinx and Murderous
Kitchen
Red Cat.
Sphinx. for infinite life or infinite damage.
Yep.
So I got you covered.
Do it to it.
I got you. I got you. We figured out another way to do it, but we make you go into a third color. But I think that you could do like if you wanted like black, if you wanted black green to be something different,
Mhm.
right? It could be graveyard focused, but you could kind of like I did a little bit here, put in like reanimator spells.
Well, I
So
mean,
you
you
just-
could go like completely the other direction also, though. You could be graveyard focused, but not actually care about the graveyard. You could do like undergrowth or delirium or like things that care about the graveyard but don't use it.
Oh, writhing necromass.
Yeah.
Yeah, where you're not eating stuff out of your graveyard, you're just using it to get discounts and
Right.
thing. If you remember, undergrowth was like one of the worst limited mechanics of all time.
Well, sure. But it didn't have
we
Stitcher Supplier.
We can make it better. Yeah, we can make it better. Or like you could do something like completely and totally different with like you could have the you could try to do the Kaladesh. Like you could use Winding Constrictor.
Mm-hmm. Or
And there's
I
been a
mean, you
couple-
could probably figure out a way to just make it hard control too.
Mm-hmm. Or like make it ramp. You have like Leyline, Prowler, and a couple other like Skull Prophet.
Yep.
It's like black green like mana dorks.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could make all your mana dorks black green.
Yeah.
And make black green your ramp color, and then have green like no mana dorks and do something weird. Yeah, you
We'll
could like
play around with it a little bit.
Like black green definitely has the cards on Arena that you could just like be the rock.
Yeah.
Like Shadow Prophecy is how you refill.
Yep.
And then like a couple other the black card draw spells, and you're just like kill your thing, kill your thing, kill your thing, resolve it. Any idiot. Yeah, any idiot and win the game. Oh, for the people at home, the Orzhov Enforcer mechanic that when something dies, you get a number of spirits equal to the number after is Afterlife.
Isn't that what I said?
Is that what you said?
Play back the videotape.
Dude, my computer is not about to do that right now. And you're the one recording the video.
I'm pretty
Maybe
sure
you
I
did
said
say
Afterlife. I'm pretty sure I did.
Okay. Okay. All praise to you for the Afterlife get, because it was not in my head at all.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what I said. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Someone will call me
But,
out if I'm wrong.
Yeah. But like, blue black ninjas, we have most of the ninjas on Arena. I feel like that's what you want the blue black archetype to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we could definitely go hard and come up with a very fun play environment.
Yeah, I think it'll be cool.
All right, now I want to do this now. I'm like, okay, cool. Once we hang up, maybe I'll just work on an arena cube.
A whole nother cube.
A whole nother cube. I'm not joking about like I don't know, having the fire cube and then the smolder cube or something.
The ember cube.
Like the ember cube. Like what is before fire? What is like rubbing two sticks together? Like the proto fire.
Yeah.
Like whatever that is. We got the stick cube, stick and string cube, and then actual roaring fire cube.
Yeah.
And just like
The pre-Prometheus and post-Prometheus.
There we go. Would you like to draft pre-Prometheus or the Prometheus cube? We have Mole Drifter on Arena. Like we can do some things.
Yeah.
So, all right. And like as long as people had if they didn't have the cards, it wouldn't be too hard with like most people have enough common and uncommon wild cards to like make things happen.
Yeah, I mean for like a draft deck, it's not like you're burning through
like,
hundreds of wild cards.
And like if you like were like, you know what? I'm not playing 10 of these cards, you wouldn't have to make them.
Right. No, you just craft like whatever you drafted.
Yeah, the 22 card. Well, like you draft 45 cards, right? And you only play like 23.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I'll make these 23 plus like the 4 sideboard cards. But I'm green white and I can't like play the this black card that's in my pool, so I'm not even gonna bother.
Mm-hmm.
That could be fun.
Yeah. Hopefully there's some interest. Let us know.
People of the internet,
Yeah.
let us know.
How would they let us know?
They would reach out to us on social media with all those links in the description of the episode you're listening to right now.
Crazy. Yeah, get at us. Let us know if that's an idea you guys are would participate in.
So, what else can they look out for in the description?
They can also look out for ways to support us. If you like the work that we do and you want us to keep doing it, you can show your support by using our TCG player affiliate link, tcg.casualtryhardmtg.com. I think we were talking in our pre-show a little bit about how typically like a week or two after release is when I usually make my order for a set, and we're creeping up on that. So if you're going to make an order like I do, probably this weekend, tcg.casualtryhardmtg.com, and whatever you purchase after following that link, we'll get a percentage of. If you guys want to support us more directly, patreon.com/casualtryhardmtg is where you can go. You can chip a couple bucks in. Again, if you like the work that we do and you want to support us, and you'll get access to a whole nother show of ours, which is kind of less of a show than just us hanging out. But you also get access to our show notes, and you get access to, or not access to, but you get put on my mailing list for when I do givebacks. My givebacks are pretty cool. I think you'll enjoy them.
They are.
Yep. So patreon.com/casualtryhardmtg. Sign up, chip a couple bucks in, and reap the rewards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So with that, we'll catch you on the internet.
We'll catch you on the internet.